application. From Sheridan Media News, it's time for Open Line Friday. Your chance to join the conversation and talk about what you want to talk about. Call the Jackson Electric Open Line at 672-KROE. That's 672-5763. Now, your hosts on the Jackson Electric Open Lines, Steve Sisson and Floyd Whiting.
And now that the intro is officially played, we can actually start. We went through this whole problem to get Madison a special set of headphones, and now she's not going to use them because
now they don't work.
They don't work.
And I want to know why she gets special headphones. I don't get special. I get whatever's left on the desk.
I am just special.
Apparently.
Yes, it's amazing you made it here today. It's nice for you to put that hat on.
Thank you. I set my alarm for 8:30. And what time does this show start?
Yeah, usually around like
9:05. Yeah. All right, this is Jackson Electric Open Line. You can call if there's something on your mind and talk with us about it. 674-4443, 672-5763. Those are the phone numbers. The poll question this week, we were going to do a daylight saving thing. We'll probably just do that this
We may
week.
talk about it.
Yeah,
At some point.
I mean, it is happening. But somewhat related, time. We are traveling back in time,
Yes.
right? The question is, do you believe that time travel is possible? And this one was pretty overwhelmingly no. 71% say no, 22% say yes, 7% undecided.
Those are the time travelers.
The ones that are undecided?
Yeah,
They're
absolutely.
stuck.
I don't know what happened. I woke up. It was like a different year. Madison, where do you fall on this poll question?
I mean, it would be really cool if it happened, but I don't think.
Yeah, no.
Really?
I don't think
No?
so.
I'm totally down for it.
Totally yes?
Yeah.
I'm on the nose, but I think it's kind of like the ghost question. It depends on how you define time travel.
Totally.
So since we're both no's, Aaron, elaborate on what you think is going on or can go on.
There's so many weird things. So time is relative, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, you could have a week where you're like, oh my gosh, it's dragging on. And mine can fly by.
Right.
So it's all in perception that way. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of weird documentaries out there and TV shows. So The Man from 3036.
Yes.
Right?
I made it halfway through that, and,
Yeah.
I was out.
You can Tubi it, you can Amazon Prime it, whatever. But this guy shows up, right? And he's completely bald. No hair, no eyebrows, eyelashes, anything. And he claims he's from 3036. He gets picked up in a market for stealing bananas and water.
Right.
But he claims that in his time, that's free. Produce and water is free. Everybody gets rights to at least that.
I should have thought of that excuse. I thought it was free. I'm from the future. I mean, what are you going to do?
What do you mean this Christmas tree from Stuff Mart isn't free?
In my time, it's free.
It's free.
This phone isn't free.
So he shows up, he gets arrested. He's got no identification. They can't find him in the system. They run all these tests on him. They don't know who he is. So they turn him out. These guys find him, do a documentary on him. And the weirdest part of it is he makes all these claims. I got this chip in my hand where I'm from. 5G, which is rolling out now, is like the end of the world. It's caused cancer, radiation, blah.
And he spends the whole time wearing a mask. And
All the time wearing a mask. People in the future always wear masks. I'm not going to do well in the future. So he makes all these outrageous claims. I've got heavy metals in my body and radiation and blah. And nobody lives past 47. And there's the beneathers, the people that live beneath the ground, on and on. And oddly enough, they take hair samples and run DNA tests, and he has no DNA, traceable DNA. Furthermore, they test his blood, and he has exactly what he said. He had heavy metals in his body, on, and then they x-ray his hand, and sure enough, there's a weird chip in his hand. Mm-hmm. It goes on, and the park that they met at the first time, they end up finding a burned body there, minus the left hand. Mm-hmm. Ooh. And again, right, Dun, dun, dun. Like from Aquaman. It's weird.
Yeah.
And, that's why I love conspiracy theories. Maybe it's all made up. Maybe it's not. But then he
Right.
ties in like Planet X, right?
Yeah.
Nibiru. And then like the Anunnaki and stuff. Like they come back, they look at the world and they go, ugh, this is messed up. Boom, wipe it out. 3036 was last year. That's why he came back. And then they start over. The Great Experiment. I don't know. I love the story of it. I love the story.
I like the idea. I was out about 10 minutes in. I stayed until about the halfway point just to see what was going to happen. And I had a few issues with it. First of all, they show all the news articles at the beginning.
Right.
If you look at those closely, none of them are actual news articles.
Right.
I mean, they're all either recreations or creations. I mean, there's no like legitimate like CNN, Fox. There's nothing.
Are those
real there.
legitimate?
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess actual news sites. I guess you could say. I mean, they are all news looking, but they're all generic. Like they were made for the movie.
Right.
There's some grammatical errors in there, like apostrophes and things that most journalists wouldn't.
And I've seen that it's a mockumentary.
Yeah, and that's where I'm kind of thinking when he first meets the guy and he rolls down the window and he's like,
Right.
"Turn off your phone and we'll go talk over here." The audio from him, he's mic'd up already. It's exactly
Right.
the same as when they sit down and talk to him. So it wasn't like the audio wasn't what you would normally get if you just had your phone and your camera in the car.
Right.
And then the 5G thing, I've worked around RF enough to know that what he's saying about 5G just is not true. And then he's all concerned about the radiation from the guy's phone, right? He has to put him in airplane mode.
Right.
But then he's fine to get an X-ray.
Right.
That's going to be a lot more radiation than anything come off of his phone. So I had some issues with it. About halfway through, I was like, okay, I mean,
Yeah.
I wasn't interested enough to stay through the rest of his,
It's just like I said. I love conspiracy theories. They're a fun story.
Yeah.
And the way that they intertwine and he brings in Nibiru and the Anunnaki and everything. And you're like, wow, that's kind of, he did his research.
Oh yeah,
For sure.
I mean, they did a great job of combining elements of some stuff that we kind of wonder about right now,
Right.
And think, well, what if?
But then you've got a new series that came out on Prime called The Peripheral.
Okay,
And it's kind of based loosely on virtual reality, except it's a headset that these people put on, and your brain is your virtual reality, essentially. And this gal is transported 70 years into the future in London. Interesting. Like, maybe that's a possibility, but how did they get it back here?
Yeah.
And that's the big issue that I have with time travel is, can you go back? Or can you only go forward?
Yeah.
Excuse me, I'd like to go back.
Yeah.
Right.
Don't want to stay.
if
I
it-
would love to go back because Tuesday I was parked in that parking garage on Main Street, and I took a turn a little too tight coming out and hit one of the columns and tore up the back fender off my pickup. If I could go back, I would drive out a little straighter and just delay that turn by like 1 second.
Right?
So yeah, I mean that'd be awesome. But no, I think I said depending on how you define time travel, I think it is possible because we're all traveling through time right now,
Right.
at a rate of 1 second per second, and we know that that rate is not a constant because gravity bends space time. GPS clocks run at a different speed because of the difference in gravity, and people in the space station age at a very slightly different rate.
Right.
So we know that you can do that. So I guess if you would to just take the space station and extrapolate that, make them go faster for longer, they would age much slower. They'd come back, and it would be like you traveled through time because you'd come into the future when you came back to Earth.
Right.
But I think that's not the same thing as going 100 years into the future.
Right. Pushing a button
Yeah.
and being somewhere.
Yeah, and that only takes you forward. It doesn't take you back.
And that's the thing. Can you go back if the technology does not exist now? I mean, do we have the stuff to do it? Maybe. Do we have the understanding to do it? No. So can you go back or can you only go forward
Yeah, I would
after
say
it's been discovered?
I would say we've never met anyone from the future. I don't think the man from 3036 is actually from 3036.
Steve.
Well, they knock on the door and he's like, "Hey, how's it going?"
Right.
Do they say that 1,000 years from now?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
1,000
They're like,
years,
sup?
1,000 years ago,
Let's take a selfie.
we didn't talk like we do today.
Right.
1,000 years from now, we won't talk like we do today. That guy sounded like he was just a modern, contemporary
Yeah.
person.
Okay,
he was
okay.
just upset that he stole bananas and water.
So here's a question. If you could travel back in time, when would you go back? Like, if there was something specific, when would it be?
I would like to witness the sinking of the Titanic.
Ooh.
Wait, be on the Titanic?
No,
You don't.
I would.
No, he
push-
wants to be on the
Yeah.
iceberg.
I want to
take a
push the
picture.
button at the moment it's going down and hop back to this time. But I'd like to the JFK assassinations, find out what really happened.
Right.
Go there and actually observe it, knowing what we know now, and look for the things that we don't have answers to.
Watch them build the pyramids.
That would be cool.
Yeah. How about you?
I would go. Okay, this sounds really weird, but I would save like all of the like musicians who passed away really young. Like I'd
The 27 Club.
yeah, get all of them out of the drug scene and be like, you can't do that. That would be my.
So we'd
time
have like
travel.
old fat Kurt Cobain.
See, that's the thing. It's
Well,
like
like yeah, Janis Joplin and like all Whitney Houston, Michael Jackson.
and they
get them
release
out
all
of
the
that.
crappy music at the end of their career where they're burning out
Yeah.
and they've got nothing left to say, but they're saying stuff anyway.
Yeah.
I would go back to that.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. You?
I pyramids.
Yeah,
I think
pyramids.
that that's the hot debate, right? How are they built?
I think that would be a good one.
I mean, that'd be kind of cool to see.
and for me, it's last Tuesday.
right. Yeah, Steve's gonna go save his car.
It would cool to see like the what is it called? This first space launch too. That would be cool.
The Apollo ones.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, there's
be
people
cool.
alive today that did see that.
that'd be cool.
But yeah, that would be neat. I would have liked to have seen a space shuttle launch.
It brings up the point though. People are like, I'd go back and stop Hitler, and you're like, okay, I get that, but if you could, what does that do?
Right.
What happens? I'm gonna go save Elvis. I'm gonna save these musicians and stuff. Okay, I get that. Like, I get that you would want to go back and do those big good things, but then what happens?
Well, it's like Back to the Future, like when he like gets his mom and whatever and his dad to meet, and he like disappears, and all these things start to change.
He endangers his own existence.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, the butterfly effect of that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's ramifications, and you have to kind of argue: is the world a better place because of what happened in World War II?
Right.
It was a horrible thing, but are we better off because of what happened there?
Did we learn from
Yeah,
it?
yeah, that's a question, and all the ramifications of you'd get the crappy 18th album from Nirvana that just really sucks. It's better to just let them
Die.
go out on top.
I don't know if it's better that they die.
I don't think, that they stopped making music when they were, so we remember them at their peak.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
We have a phone call. Good morning. You are on the Jackson Electric Open Line.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Very well,
It's Floyder.
man. How you feeling, man?
Pretty under the weather,
Yeah.
and my wife's even worse. Yeah, so
Oh,
it's
man.
not a good situation. But
You wouldn't wouldn't miss out on this conversation.
made it almost
though.
3 years.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's pretty good.
Held
Not
out,
bad, right?
Held out until the last possible
I
moment.
mean, he's pulled himself out of bed to talk on this because I know this is a subject he is
Hot
very
topic.
very interested in.
Very much so.
Yeah.
So I believe time travel is possible. We just don't have the technology to accomplish it. Seems that time is relative and also bends with gravitational pull, which is fascinating in itself. We could do it, but we just don't have the tech to support that. The density and the distance, the density of the materials and the distance that would be needed is the part that is the impossibility. I read a paper once that talked about the density of the materials to cause the gravitational pull it's like umpteen times that of our own sun, which is just not possible. So in theory, yes, absolutely possible. In practice, probably never going to happen.
Yeah.
Unless there's something else, an element or something that we find in the future that is obviously not available now, then no, it's not something that we'd be able to do. And on the documentary, yeah, I believe that's completely fake. Sorry, Aaron.
Come on, Floyd, man.
Dreams crushed.
But it was, it's one of those situations. It's fun to sit and talk about. It's fun to think about. But there's just so many ramifications. And between all of us and all the listeners, something could have happened already. Someone from the future could have gone back and changed something, but we would never know. And if they did, then that would create what's called a paradox. Madison, you talked about going back and saving all the musicians, right? Mm-hmm. That would be really cool. And in Back to the Future, we can kind of do that. We can go back and change the past, and it alters the future. But that it creates a paradox. If I went back and saved JFK, then I would never need to go back and save JFK. So that's a paradox. They believe that you don't really change the course of the future because that can't be changed. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
You alter the universe in itself.
Yeah, your whole motivation for going back into time doesn't exist if you succeed in your mission.
Is removed.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's not like we come back and, oh my God, Biff has taken over everything and he's in charge.
Right.
It changes, and it would create that what Doc Brown calls the universe destroying paradox.
Yeah. Or you might just pass out. Those were the two.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I guess it depends on how you view the timelines. If it changes everything around you and you don't even know anything was different. Marilyn Monroe always lived to be 90 years old or
Right.
whatever. That would be definitely a paradox.
Plus, then you have the theory of, excuse me, you have the theory of the butterfly effect, where once I change that, what else does that change?
Right.
And how else will that be affected? And so I think, the thing of it is time travel possible into the future? Absolutely it is.
Mm-hmm.
The theory of relativity actually tells us that it is. Mm-hmm. We can prove that this happens. It's all based on time and space and speed. Mm-hmm. We achieve those, you can go into the future. Going back into the past, I don't think is something that we'll ever accomplish.
Yeah.
And even if we did, it would have to be simply just from an observation point of view. And we've all seen those photos, right, that circle around on the internet. Everyone's like, oh, my God, they didn't have these types of glasses back then.
Right. Yeah, that guy that was watching the bridge get dedicated, and he was wearing clothes that were supposedly too modern.
The guy at the JFK assassination, and he had on the cool shades and a graphic T-shirt.
Yeah.
Yep.
People didn't dress
we've
like
all seen them.
Yep.
I was like, maybe he was a hipster. Maybe he was just ahead of his time.
That's it. He just wasn't dressing like most people were.
Trendsetter.
Yeah.
Well, and in this generation, what is it? Generation Z, Generation Y, whatever generation, they would look at an old phone, and I don't mean a handheld device. I mean, let's say an old unpopular recorder, one that maybe, didn't sell very well back in 1965, but it looks like a handheld cell phone.
Right.
And maybe that guy happened to be packing it around.
Yeah. And
people automatically just assume that's a phone.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, because we base it on what we perceive these days. The device like that would be. Yeah. Yeah, I think the past doesn't exist. I think
the past doesn't exist?
No.
Sweet.
It's in the past.
The past is in the behind.
I see what you're saying, Steve.
What's that?
I see exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
Once it's done, it's done.
Yeah.
It's over.
You can't go back.
There's no returning.
Right.
Yeah.
All right,
it's not a place.
If the past doesn't exist, that makes a lot of things so much easier.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah. I mean, it used to exist.
Right.
But it doesn't exist anymore. All right, Floyd, thanks for the call. Get better. We'll hopefully have you here next week, huh?
Yeah, that's the hope. That's the hope. All right.
All right,
We'll
buddy.
talk to you
Take
guys.
care, man.
Feel better.
We're going to take a break. Back with more after this. It's the Jackson Electric Open Line on News Talk 930 KROE.
From the simplest to the most complex electrical applications, Jackson Electric has the knowledge, experience, and reputation to meet and exceed any electrical need or equipment. Jackson Electric expertise even includes phone systems, data systems, LED lighting systems, fire alarm systems, and irrigation systems, residential, commercial, industrial, agricultural. If it has anything to do with electricity, anything at all, Jackson Electric does it. 1851 North Main in Sheridan.
Voting this year? Keep in mind that Wyoming law requires voters to show an acceptable form of identification when voting in person at the polls. There are several things you can use as identification, including a driver's license, a tribal ID card, a U.S. military card, a valid U.S. passport, a valid Medicare or Medicaid card, and your UW Wyoming Community College or Wyoming Public School ID. If you don't have one of these, you may obtain a free Wyoming ID card from the local driver services office.
Your Sheridan Junior Hawks are back at home on Saturday night for the second night of a two-game set with the Gillette Wild at the Whitney Rink in the M&M Center. Beat the rush. Get there early. Gates open at 6:30. They drop the puck at 7:30. Admission is $10 for adults, $8 for seniors, students, and military. Kids born under are free. Be part of the excitement of hockey with your Sheridan Junior Hawks at home Saturday night as they take on the Gillette Wild.
You bagged your trophy elk. Now imagine having its ivory handcrafted into the perfect piece of jewelry. At Legacy Diamond & Gems, their in-house jewelers can take your memory of the big hunt and preserve it into fine pieces of jewelry to last generations. Using your imagination, the skilled jewelers at Legacy Diamond & Gems can create something truly exceptional. Visit them at 11 North Main Street or online at legacydiamondgems.com. Hurry in now.
As we enter the fall months, have you made that plan to market your business? Are you stuck? Confused on what to do? Hi, this is Bob Grammons, General Manager at Sheridan Media. Let us help you put a plan in place as we gear up for the holiday season. Sheridan Media can market your business on up to 9 different radio stations. We can place your print ad in front of nearly 18,000 households in Sheridan and Johnson County with the Country Bounty, or market your business worldwide through a variety of digital products that we offer. We can also place your ad on our 2 websites. Let our creative and experienced marketing team put a well-thought-out and professional, comprehensive marketing plan together to connect with your customers on multiple media platforms. No high pressure. Let's tell your story, whether locally or across the country. Call Sheridan Media today at 672-7421 or email sales@sheridanmedia.com and let us go to work for you.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Jackson Electric Open Line. I'm Steve Sisson, filling in for Floyd Whiting, along with Madison Danforth and Aaron Linden. Trevor Jackson running the show in the box.
In the box.
Yep. So we've been talking about time travel, and I guess depending on how you look at it, we are traveling back in time this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. And, like Derek said yesterday upstairs, he goes, you time travel every night. You go to sleep, and you wake up the next
Wake
day.
up in the future.
I'm like,
Yeah, so if you just
again,
depending on how you define time travel, yes.
right.
Personally, I would define it as, we're traveling through time at a constant rate of 1 second per second. And if you can go through it at a different rate than someone else, then you are traveling through time.
Is that why some people just look younger and older? Maybe.
Maybe. It could also just be genetics. But
Or just rough
Or
life.
surgeries.
yeah, surgery could be that too. Yeah. It could just be lifestyle. I don't know. That is interesting. But most people tend to live to be around the same age. I mean, give or take, 30 years or so, I
Right.
guess. But the human body has a certain time limit.
Lifespan.
Yeah. So talking about daylight saving change, we get to do it again this weekend, and every time we do it, we complain about it. Are we ever going to actually do anything about it?
Antiquated. Come on.
What is the solution, though? Because if we stay on the summertime, then kids are going to be going to school in the dark because it's already just barely, I mean, the sun's not up yet right now when kids are going to school.
Right.
And as the months go on, it will be the middle of the night, basically, when you're taking kids to school. That's probably not safe. So do you stay on just the winter time year round? Or do you change the time that school starts and work starts to like 9 a.m.? What's the best solution? I mean, it makes sense in the Arizona, Hawaii, and areas that are closer to the equator.
Right.
You don't have as much of a dramatic shift in the sunrise and sunset times.
Right. And then that's the big debate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, we're going to get rid of it. Which one are we going to?
Right.
You know, and so you're going to school in the dark, okay, or you're coming home in the dark,
Right. The sun sets at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Right.
Yeah.
So it just, I don't know what the grand answer is. I just think it needs to go away because I think biometrically, like, I mean, your circadian rhythms, let's say,
Yeah.
get so whacked out. At least mine do for a while that it's like, why? Why are we doing this to ourselves?
Right. And you do it twice
I mean, it's a
year.
man-made, stupid idea.
Well, time is kind of a man-made concept.
Time
too.
is a man-made concept.
So
but
we're
we're all just like slaves to it, right?
I
like,
know,
I
yeah.
got to be here at this time.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that will be our question for next week is, does the time change physically affect you? Because some people probably feel it more than others. And it would be interesting to see how many actually do feel adverse effects from it.
Well, and what's worse, springing forward or
Yes.
falling backward?
I think the springing forward one takes me longer to adjust to.
Right.
The falling backward one ought to be nice, but for me, it's the hardest one for the automation systems here to deal with.
Right.
Because the other one, just skip an hour. That's easy. But here, you have to repeat an hour, and then it messes up and it calls me at 2 o'clock in the morning because stuff's off the air. So I don't get any more sleep.
So here's the weird thing, though. So, like, how many times have we done this? When did that start?
Yeah, we'll have to do some research
We'll
on
have
that.
to
And look.
do a little.
When does it-
That's why
when
God
did
invented
it-
Google, right?
Yeah.
But the weird thing about that is, so you spring forward, you fall back.
Mm-hmm.
You spring forward, you fall back over this course of however long since the 40s.
Yeah,
30s?
probably. I don't know,
30s,
yeah.
40s, something like that. What has that done to time for people?
Maybe it's shortened our lifespans because it's more stress.
Right?
Yeah.
So it says daylight savings time was first implemented in the U.S. with the Standard Time Act of 1918, a wartime
Oh, my.
measure for 7 months during World War I in interest of adding more daylight hours to conserve energy. Year-round daylight savings time, or wartime, was implemented again during World War II.
And I think there was an experiment at one point in the Nixon years, I think, that they actually did not do it.
Really?
And I think the big complaint was that, hey, everyone's going to work and school in the dark. I'll have to look that up again, but I recall that there was a brief time period where it wasn't observed for a little while.
So now, though, the argument is like that's part of the Green New Deal, maybe. Like,
Yeah.
oh, we got to conserve energy. No,
I think there's
we've
been a
got
lot of
energy.
studies that have shown that it doesn't conserve energy, especially now where we have more energy efficient appliances,
Right.
lighting LEDs. You're not changing that much. In fact, you're probably using more with air conditioning and lighting. If you wouldn't do the time change, you're probably
Right.
going to actually use less if you stay on one time.
I would
Right.
much rather go to like school or work in like sunrise than pitch black dark because I cannot like function. I'm like get so
See,
sleepy.
and for some, it's weird because it's like in the wintertime, you go to work in the dark,
And you go
you
home.
go home in the dark. It's like,
And there's depression that comes along with that.
right.
People get that seasonal depression because of lack of sunlight. And
It's like being in Alaska.
we just move it to 9 o'clock and everything will be good. 9 to 4.
9 to 4
I mean, what's wrong with that?
with a 3-hour lunch.
Can you not get the same amount of work done in that time period? How important is it to do those 40 hours?
Right. And technically, and that's that big push of, well, we can't have people Twitter, right? You got to get back into the office. Really? Because I can get more done at home
Right.
without all the like chatty than I can get done in 8 hours in a day. Usually.
I think the pandemic has shown a lot of people that that actually works a lot better than they thought it would.
Right.
And I'm sure there's some people that are going to slack off and be watching Netflix all day, but they
Hey,
do that in
don't
the
call
office
me out.
anyway.
Right. They got their phone going.
They come to work in their pajamas, Madison.
Okay, everyone.
She time traveled.
Yeah.
This morning. She literally moved from bed to the station.
In less than the amount of time physically possible to do that. Yes.
threw on a hat, put on a or put on a vest, and was like, I'm going.
She lives 15 minutes away and made it in 5.5. So
Time travel.
yeah.
It was fast.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we're kind of locked into these routines of like 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And
Which is weird, right? Because it used to be like Dolly Parton or
9 to
somebody
5,
made a
right?
song
9
to 5.
Yeah.
And you had an hour for lunch. So people were technically working 7 hours a day. Who's the jerk that went, no, it's 8 to 5? Because you don't get that hour of lunch.
And then a lot of businesses, people get there before 8 anyway. I mean, they're 7:30, they're sitting down and doing stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Some people get there at 8 and don't actually do any work until 9 anyway.
Some people get there at 8 and don't actually do any work until never.
Well,
Until Friday.
Then you have like school. Like in college, there's classes that start at all different times. Like you have your early, like 7 and 8 a.m.s, and then you have 9 and 10, which is like when most classes start. And then like me, I have classes that start at 7 o'clock at night.
Right.
I have like
right.
night class. Like it just depends on like
Yeah.
your whole schedule.
Yeah. And people
then-
work split shifts.
Yeah.
How hard would it be? How big of a deal would it be if we just shifted the time certain things start rather than actually changing what time it is? Like say school starts at 9
Right.
starting next week instead of 8.
Right.
And just leave the time alone. Is that more confusing than
I think it would shift a lot of things because you have like all your after school activities and you have like
and not everybody would probably make the shift.
exactly.
Right.
And then you have like the parents who can't get like or who still work
Yeah.
at the same time.
Like your work still starts at 8, but the school doesn't start till 9.
Right.
And so
then
then
what
you
are you
have
gonna
that
do?
like okay hour, like how am I gonna get you to and from, and then all of those logistic
Which is
things.
funny because, like, you go to any of the schools and it's packed with parents, right? Dropping their kids off, picking them up. When I was growing up, you got on the bus.
Or you just started walking that way.
Right, exactly. And now it's like, well, no, I got to take little Johnny to school and pick him up. It's
I
like, why
hate
do we
the
have
bus.
buses anymore?
Oh, yeah, that's true. My daughter, I take her to school in the morning and she rides the bus home.
Okay.
So it's a split deal. But
It's a split.
I live so I'm like my house to the high school is probably 30 seconds away, and I think I drove to school. I had my mom drive me to school freshman year because you can't drive, and then I would drive every day. I don't think I ever walked to school, and then I live right by Sagebrush too, and so I walked a little bit when I was younger.
so
but
it takes you a minute to walk to school.
yeah.
It takes you 10 minutes to drive because you have to defrost the car
right.
Yes, yeah.
And sit in traffic.
and let it warm up,
Yeah.
wait at the lights. Yeah.
But there's no lights up by the high school.
Yeah, that's
there.
true.
Just
That's
gotta-
true, yeah.
Well, if they get their way, there will be a roundabout. So that'll be really fun.
Yeah. Is that a good idea, do you think? the roundabout?
Oh, I
No.
don't like it at all.
I mean, I understand why they wouldn't put a light there because it's only like 2 times of the day
Right.
where the traffic is a problem there.
Right. But
So,
you think about a roundabout, right?
So pointless.
I despise roundabouts. When I'm in Billings, you're like going from whatever the mall maybe over to like Shields or something. There's like 8 of them.
Yeah.
Nope. I go all the way out to the highway. And
go all the way around?
Yeah, I go all the way around because I don't want to touch those things because I don't they're like a death trap. If I owned an auto body shop, my sign would be in the middle of those things because there's got to be tons of accidents. But you put one at the high
there is.
school with buses, new drivers. Come on.
I like roundabouts.
Oh,
I like
Steve,
it.
come
But
on.
I have half New Zealand heritage, which is basically British.
Right.
They love roundabouts. Everything's roundabouts in
There's
New
Big
Zealand.
Ben.
yeah.
There's Big Ben.
Yeah, there's Big Ben.
I like them.
Hey,
Yeah, Big
kids.
Ben Parliament can't get left.
When one of my best friends got married this summer, and we were driving to the wedding. We're in our dresses for the wedding. We're going there. Her sister's driving, and probably 10-15 minutes before the wedding, we get in a car wreck in the middle of a roundabout.
Nice.
We just get T-boned by this lady, and oh my gosh, it was the worst thing ever. And now whenever I see them,
I think they're safer than 4-way stops, though.
But the problem is, like, you get how to use them.
Yeah.
I get how to use them. I just choose not to.
You'll never
the
get
problem
better
is,
unless
like,
you do it.
90% of people don't know how to use them.
I like panic. I'm like, okay, where am I going?
People are bad drivers anyway, and then you throw something into the mix that they're not used to, it's gonna be chaos.
But only temporarily. I mean, a
you get
couple
stuck in there.
generations.
But then you need time travel to go back and not wreck your car.
We're going to take a quick break, come back, and talk about whatever. It's Open Line Friday
Whatever.
on News Talk 930 KROE.
Call Jackson Electric and you'll see the light. Maybe it's as simple as adding an extra outlet. Maybe it's as detailed as wiring an industrial building. Maybe it's high-efficiency LED lighting or fire alarm system or phone system installation and repair. Maybe it's data system wiring, irrigation wiring, or electric motor sales and repair. Commercial, residential, industrial, agriculture, above ground, below ground. Call Jackson Electric and you'll see the light. 1851 North Main in Sheridan.
I'm Shelta Ramber. I'm asking for your vote on November 8th for School District 2 trustee. I'm an honest, bold voice for parents, students, and teachers. I want to encourage a parent-teacher partnership and keep community values in the classroom. I will ensure that there is accountability and transparency with board meetings, policies, and funding. I will find real solutions by making time, space, and compromise for the public. Visit sheltaforsheridan.com, paid for by Shelta for Sheridan.
Hi, I'm Jack Wood, and I'm running for Sheridan City Council. I can tell you when it comes time to make decisions that affect the city and the residents, I will have a clear conscience with my decision. I have only one ad that has been made for me in this campaign that I did not pay for. Because I've worked for this person for 5 years, and she knows how dedicated I am to my work, family, and the city of Sheridan. I have paid for my campaign by myself and with no outside influences. I'm asking for your vote for Sheridan City Council in November. Paid for by Jack Wood.
Ever feel like the traditional Republicans' only job is to lose gracefully? They talk about small government and low taxes, and then they compromise away our republic. When Democrats win, we get skyrocketing inflation and the sexualization of our children. Maybe, like me, you're fed up. It's high time we stood up for traditional values and the conservative policies that we know are effective and that benefit all of us. I'm Ken Pendergraft. I am the Republican for Wyoming House District 29, and I need your vote to help end politics as usual. Together, we can put Wyoming back on the right track and set an example for our nation. We can lead the way back to prosperity. This message is paid for by the committee to elect Ken Pendergraft to House District 29. I am Ken Pendergraft, and I approve of this message. You should too.
Let's talk about tires. Think about the snowy, icy roads ahead, and now think about your current worn-out tires. How safe does that make you feel? Well, lucky for you, Midas Tire and Auto has their best tire sale all year going on now. Buy 3 tires, get 1 free. That's 25% off. And the best part is if you aren't ready to put your tires on right now, Midas will hold them until you're ready. How great is that? Don't miss the big tire sale going on now till November 15th at Midas Tire and Auto in Sheridan.
Welcome back to the Jackson Electric Open Line on News Talk 930 KROE. Also streaming on Facebook and YouTube. At some point, we'll actually get the comment thing going there. It actually kind of is, but I need to just be diligent about it, and people can comment that way.
Step up your game. Come on.
It'll happen. It'll be. That's a New Year's resolution.
Get it together.
674-4443, 672-5763 if there's something that's on your mind. I guess we all survived Halloween all right. So the weather was great for the trick-or-treaters. I see, Aaron, you got your hair cut. So
I did. My hair was, for those of you that live stream this, I don't know if people do, but yeah, I had really long hair. Aaron and I went as Johnny Depp and Amber Heard.
She had the facial expression down.
Well, I showed her one picture. I'm like, this is the face. And she's like, okay. And she nailed it.
Yeah, every picture I saw of you guys, she had that scowl.
Oh, man, it was so funny. I don't know how many people's photos were in because everybody was coming up to, oh, my gosh, can we get our picture with you? And I was as cool as you can. And it was, Halloween was a lot of fun. But I will say, we were out and about about 11:15, we noticed that everybody had on an orange wristband that said over 21. Mm-hmm. And we didn't need them. Point being, it was time to go because everybody in there was like half our age.
And you were the old person in the room. Yeah.
So I'm like, it's probably when we should head out.
Yeah. I played. We played 2 gigs. I played a private party on Saturday and a place on Friday at the warehouse. And it was a lot of fun. People were dressed up, and there was a lot of attendance in both of those parties. So.
Right. It was Saturday was a big night. Halloween itself, I didn't even really see a lot of trick-or-treaters.
We had a lot in our neighborhood, but we get a lot in our neighborhood typically.
Okay.
This is the first year we've run out of candy, though.
Really?
Yeah. I think it's interesting, the trick-or-treating thing. If you think about it, you've got all these houses, they buy multiple bags of candy, right? Then your child will go out to all these houses and gather pieces from those bags. You hand out pieces from your bag, and it all gets kind of shuffled around. But in the end, you've kind of got the same stuff you started with.
It's an exchange program.
Yeah, you're changing one Snickers bar for another.
Right. It's the activity of it. Get the kids out
I think
there.
that's it, yeah.
Burn off some of the sugar.
Yeah, our neighborhood was very busy, though.
Our church does a big event on Halloween. It's called Family Fall Fun Fest, and
that's hard to say.
Yeah, we call it.
That's the acronym.
That's it. Yeah.
Are you guys going to?
And so we have 4 or 5 inflatable bouncy house slides, all the things, and then we have games and popcorn and cookies and everything. I think we had about 1,300 people come through.
Holy smokes!
From 5 to 8, 5 to 8, something around that. And so it was just chaos.
How does that compare to previous years?
I don't know the numbers, but it seemed pretty chaotic as normal, but everything went smooth. No one broke any arms this year, so that's good.
That's always a plus.
During COVID, we did a drive-through one because we didn't want to be one of those super spreaders that had all of these people in one spot. Mm-hmm. And so we had people from our church decorate their cars trunk or treating type of thing, and people would drive through and we'd give them candy and stuff. And
just throw it at them.
There was a line from Bighorn Avenue just wrapped all the way around.
Oh wow,
we had so many cars. It was insane.
Speaking of Halloween, though, interestingly enough, what was the big story leading up to Halloween?
The fentanyl.
Mm-hmm. Don't get those fentanyl Smarties. Halloween comes, Halloween goes. It was 5 days ago. Mm-hmm. How many stories have we heard about people dying from fentanyl Smarties that they got?
Zero.
Zero.
I saw a video of someone opening a Snickers bar with a tack inside of it.
They planted.
Yeah.
I was what?
And that's the thing. When we were growing up, it was ooh, carameled apples with razor blades. I'm okay, one, you're going to totally see that before you bite into it, probably.
Hopefully, yeah.
And it never happened.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was the big scare. This go around. It's everything's got to be so sensationalized.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, you're going to get fentanyl Smarties and all your kids are going to die. Nope. I haven't heard one story.
Yeah. I think a lot of that stuff is urban legends anyway.
Absolutely.
If you think
but the main media news sources run with it.
I know. They always do. And there was the cocaine and the other laced candies and stuff. Always make sure you check the wrappers, which is probably a good idea anyway.
Here's the thing, though. So you got some bad guy with cocaine, right? And he's like, I'm going to give this to the kids. No, he's not. He's keeping it for himself. And
if you were in the neighborhood making caramel apples with razor blades in them, they're going to find you because they kind of know where it came from.
Yeah, if you carry around a caramel apple.
There's one dude handing out caramel apples. Yeah. It's got to be Steve.
All the kids know what that place is. They always know the house that's giving out the full-size candy bars.
Right.
They're going to know the ones that's giving out the caramel apples too. So yeah, you're going to get caught if you do that. So
I don't think I ever got a full-size candy bar.
You were going to the wrong places.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I was growing up, there was this guy, and it was funny because their name was Junker, and they ran the sanitation business. Right?
Nice.
So, it's kind of fitting. They used to hand out either full-size candy bars or $5 bills.
Wow.
Right.
Man, I'd go broke.
There was a line of people trying to get into that joint.
And the next door, somebody's handing out pencils.
Socks.
Handshakes.
Yeah. Here, I'm just going to give you a top tip. Here's a little piece of paper with some life advice on it. Thanks. This has been the Jackson Electric Open Line on News Talk 930 KROE. Have a great weekend.